We have planted the seed. The future of the Holocaust Museum in Philadelphia is in your hands.
Yaakov Riz was no stranger to the world and to its leaders. He received support from such people as Moshe Dayan, Menachem Begin, Simon Wiesenthal, Elie Wiesel, Senator Arlen Specter, former Mayor W. Wilson Good, former President Gerald Ford, and former President Jimmy Carter.
Yaakov Riz, a prophet taught he, a man from his past named Jabotinsky. He foretold of the future, a future of doom. He predicted the Holocaust happening soon. The people laughed and called him insane. Heard of a man named Hitler, and he is calling out our
People are criticizing me for stirring up the past. They say this is not Germany. We don't need a Holocaust museum. See for yourself if we need our people to remind them what happened in the past and to remember that it can happen in the future if we will do nothing. See for yourself. What do you see?
The museum was created in 1959 as the Jewish Identity League and was officially incorporated in the state of Pennsylvania as the Jewish Identity Center and Holocaust Museum 1 year later. The museum was originally housed in Jacob's basement at 1453 Levick Street in Northeast Philadelphia. It remained in this location for 25 years. During that period of time, the museum welcomed thousands of visitors, which included students, teachers, and adult groups.
The Holocaust Museum, where one can free their soul. Come learn from the past, let's do something fast before time takes its toll. Come to the museum, the Holocaust Museum, where one learns to build, not destroy. Come learn the truth from the aged and the youth. Let's not treat life like a toy. When Pesach comes to the Holocaust Museum and the story is told once more, can we see the resistance that saves?
I was walking along Pasteur Avenue, and Yaakov Riz was there with his display on the Holocaust, and he stopped me and said, "Do you know anything about the Holocaust?" And I started looking at his pictures saying, "I only know what I read from a few books from Elie Wiesel." And he started to explain to me about the Holocaust and what happened before the Holocaust. I became very touched by his personal tragedies and the tragedies of all who went through the Holocaust. And he offered to let me come to his museum. So one day I went to his museum, in fact the following day, and I was very inspired by his work and how he tried to reach out to the youth. In fact, how his organization was the only one that was not a business proposition, but a survival proposition.
to save the most precious things that they possessed, their children and their grandchildren. But like in the past, they didn't listen to him. They laughed at him. They called him crazy. They threw rotten eggs at him. And as long as I will live, I will never forget the last words of this messenger of God. And a day will come when you will say that I was right. But I'm afraid it will be too late. His name was Zev Jabotinsky, the teacher of Menachem Begin. 2 years later, September 1939, it was too late.
Ethel Riz is preparing dinner for her family. Seated around the table is Isaac, Ethel, Jacob, Sivia, Pinya, and Moish. Jacob is asking his father for permission to see his hero speak in a nearby village. Both Isaac and Ethel agree that visiting this nearby village is not a good idea. Jacob and his best friend Reuben plan on seeing their hero anyway as Mr. Zalov, their teacher, hands out permission slips. Zev Jabotinsky addresses the crowd. He's warning them that the Holocaust is coming soon. He tells the people that he's been following a man by the name of Hitler. He also describes Hitler's book and his plans to take over Europe and expel the Jews. The crowd does not believe him as they slowly begin to anger. He pleads with the crowd to please listen and prepare to defend their families. Someone in the crowd hits Jabotinsky in the face with a rotten egg. They mock him as he warns them that a day will come when you will see that I was right, but I'm afraid it will be too late. Families are unaware of what will soon transpire as Poland is invaded by Russian and German troops. The Germans begin rounding up Jews. They're told that if they do not comply, they will be shot. Yellow stars are handed out as mothers, fathers, grandparents, and children are led towards the ghettos where they will be confined behind barbed wire barriers. The people are scared as the Germans begin taking over their village. No one is safe, and they all wonder what is to become of them. German soldiers cut off a rabbi's beard as he prays in Yiddish and tries to resist them. The Russian officer is recruiting young men. Ethel Riz manages to buy some stale bread as things worsen in their village. The Russians are attempting to brainwash young Jewish students with a promise from Father Stalin that will reward them with candy and toys. The officer also tells the students that only the new God, Father Stalin, can grant anything they ask him for. He tells them to bow their heads and pray for candy. The children listen and do exactly what they're told. They pray. As their prayers are answered and they are showered with candy, they drop to the floor and begin stuffing their pockets. Jacob faints in the street as a Russian recruiter is speaking. He awakens in a nearby hospital where he is greeted by a young nurse. After leaving him, a man in the next bed threatens Jacob with anti-Semitic remarks. He tells him that the Redeemers will soon rid Poland of the Jews, and if they don't get him, that he will. Jacob calls to the nurse to bring him his clothes. The news that Hitler is taking over country after country is something families fear. He will soon begin his campaign to take care of the Jewish problem. Jacob is assigned to work for the Soviets in an office. The Russians believe that he's an enemy of the state, and they want him to confess that this is true. They eventually take him to an interrogator who demands he signs a confession or face going to jail. He insists that he's innocent and refuses to sign the papers. The interrogator slams his fist on the table and calls the guards to return him to his work. Jacob is taken by guard to the commandant's office and sentenced to be executed by a firing squad. He once again tells them that he is innocent and not an enemy of the state. People are ordered to leave their ghetto apartments. Families are marched towards waiting trains. They are soon separated. The men and the women are pushed into cattle cars. There's hardly any room or light. After days of travel, they arrive at a place called Auschwitz, as the Germans order those that survive to get out and form lines as the nightmare begins. A woman who reveals the Germans have shaved her head. Jacob sits in a Soviet prison as a guard offers him some murky soup. As Jacob moves the broth around with his spoon, he discovers there are worms. Jacob is questioned once again by the interrogator, who bribes him to confess with a fresh hot meal. He tells Jacob that if he doesn't sign, it will not be good for him, as they have a witness that has implicated him as an enemy of the state. Jacob still insists that he's innocent, and as hungry as he is, he will not confess to something that is not true. The interrogator begins to anger as he demands a confession. He then pushes the food onto the floor and beats Jacob as he has him taken back to his cell. The guards bring a man from Jacob's village. It's his old friend Batiuk. He looks half dead. The guards tell Jacob that this is the man that called you a spy. Jacob begins sipping the murky cold soup as he turns away and calls the man a liar. Facing a tribunal, Jacob is found guilty of the charges, and he is immediately sentenced to be sent to a work camp in Siberia. The spectators erupt with cheers as they call him names and make anti-Semitic remarks. Jacob sits in his cell, and it is here that he makes a promise to God that if he should survive, he will tell the world what he has witnessed. His mother Ethel comes to him in a dream and tells him all will be well. Jacob is awakened by a guard who takes him to a nearby office. He is told that he will be transferred to a special work detail in the morning. The very next day, Jacob is placed in a wooded area in Siberia with other men. They're told that as long as they do their work, they'll be okay, but if they stop working for any reason, that they will be shot and left for the wolves. Jacob overhears the men talking about cannibalism. He takes very ill and he's sent to the hospital where he's treated by the doctor. While working in the hospital with his doctor friend, Jacob falls in love with a beautiful nurse named Galka. When the Commandant catches the two of them alone in his office, he warns them both that he will punish them severely. Jacob and Galka cannot help themselves as their love keeps growing stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, Commandant Vasilov and his female warden, Marusha, are planning to stop both Jacob and his lovely nurse from being together. A letter arrives from Jacob's village, informing him that his whole family of 83 people have been murdered by the Nazis in death camps. Galka kisses Jacob, and she cries with him about this sad news. At that moment, Vasilov and Marusha break in with armed guards. You were warned. The guards beat Jacob with rifle butts to the ground as Vasilov pulls Galka away. Once more, Jacob awakens in the doctor's office. He's been beaten badly. The doctor tells Jacob that Galka was executed by a firing squad. He cries out in distress. The Commandant advises Jacob that he will soon be free and return to Poland, his homeland. Jacob breaks down and tells the Commandant he has no one, his family is gone. The Commandant tells Jacob that he will be taken to the Red Cross for transport to Poland. A man approaches Jacob as he's eating soup at the Red Cross building. He introduces himself as Victor. Victor tells Jacob he can take him to Paris and then on to Haifa where he will be welcome. They board a boat headed for Israel. Jacob does go to Israel and becomes a soldier. He's wounded at the Battle of Beersheba, but recovers in an army hospital where an old friend visits. Victor extends an open invitation for Jacob to stay in his newfound homeland as a hero.